In the history of the entire universe, many wonderful films have been produced. However, no film to date has reached the divine quality which the films of Neil Breen have reached. Since watching them, I've become enlightened. Now, allow me to enlighten you.
If you've never heard of Neil Breen, that's completely understandable. He's a low-budget filmmaker, actor, and architect, apparently, but that's beside the point. If there's one thing that he's known for, it's his masterful saga of films.
To date, Neil Breen has brought us a total of 4 films, all written, directed, produced by, and starring himself. I'm going to be looking at his second film, titled I Am Here Now, which was released in 2009.
If you're confused about the title, I strongly suggest that you set that confusion aside for now, because it's only going to get a lot worse from here. So in the meantime, sit back, relax, and let's take a closer look at I Am Here Now.
Our film opens up with a meteor crashing down to Earth, and upon further inspection, the meteor turns out to be a mantle decoration. Suddenly, next to it appears the Being, played by Neil Breen himself. His role is most comparable to an alien robot god. Sorry, alien robot zombie god. Neil Breen decides to explain why he's come to Earth.
I'm disappointed in your species. The human species. Other planets that I've created in the solar system are doing very well. They respect their species and the natural environment.
So Neil Breen created the entire solar system and all of the planets in it, and has decided that humans are the only species in the universe which are failing. So he decides that the only logical option is to destroy the entire planet and eliminate the human race.
Why are the humans failing? I've given them everything.
So far, nothing else has really happened, and it's been about 11 minutes. It might not sound like that long, but it feels like an eternity. At this point, we're introduced to the first non-Breen characters, which are both crazy!
You're crazy! You're crazy!
Think I'm crazy?
Yeah, because you can totally play Russian roulette with a semi-automatic pistol.
I'm so fucking high.
So these two druggies are the first examples of the humans which we've seen so far, and Neil Breen doesn't approve.
This is not the way I intended my experiment in creating this planet and this human species to go.
So they decide to shoot him, as anybody would when a crazy guy wearing a lab coat walks up to their car.
We've died and gone to heaven.
Your weapons cannot harm me.
So then he stops time, steals their clothes, steals their car, and begins his crusade of justice.
The humans have taken far too long to understand solar energy, but they're beginning to make progress now.
So, in case it wasn't already obvious, this film is meant to be like an activist film. That is, it's rife with political and social commentary. The thing that's really dumb about it, though, is that it's trying to be like an underlying theme, but is actually written in bright red paint all over the script.
Anyway, Neil Breen drives into Las Vegas. Why he doesn't just use his powers or land there in the first place, I don't know. But we're then introduced to this girl whose name is never mentioned in the entire movie. She's all about green energy and is currently working at a company working on developing it.
I'm so excited to be working here. We're finally producing results generating solar power, as well as wind turbine power generation.
It's too bad some asshole guys? I'm not really sure who these guys are supposed to be, but they're trying to put a wrench in the plan for greener energy.
Now that we've paid off our fellow elected representatives in the legislature,
That environmental solar panel development bill will fail next week.
Not to mention the cash it'll put in our pockets.
Yeah, our network of connections, technology, payoffs, and greed will never let it happen.
Why? I don't exactly know who you guys are supposed to be, or how exactly you're making money from ruining this plan, but it's really hilarious how self-aware you are, and how open you are to admitting that you're total shitheads.
It'll take a power greater than ours to get rid of us, and clean up the systems, and manage the environmental resources of this planet the way they were intended.
Well, have I got a surprise for you. Anyway, what's-her-name gets laid off because
the corruption and greed in big business and government just won't let it happen.
So she goes to talk to her twin sister to explain how difficult it is to be a mother in this economy, especially now since she's unemployed. Naturally, her sister gives her the wonderful advice to become an escort.
You may not have a choice. Look, I have someone I can hook you up with, just to get you started. And you can lie to everyone like all the other girls do. They tell their friends that they're in various forms of business, but they really are not. They're strippers or escorts. It's their big secret in Sin City.
I'm getting kind of desperate.
I wish I had a sister to give me wonderful advice like that. Then this happens.
Wow! Wow!
Anyway, FPS Russia introduces the girls to a gang which just seems to stand around in post-apocalyptic suburbia carrying machine guns, and the girls get to work right away.
Very hot. I'd like to do any of these two guys at the same time.
What? Oh.
Hell yeah! I'll do her. Damn. Twins.
I get her first.
Ah! Ah!
What did this guy have to do with it? He didn't even say anything. Anyway, the leader gives what's-her-name a wad of cash and takes her away. As it turns out, the politician guys were working with the gang all along, since now the twins are doing something for one of them.
Double my pleasure.
What a total sleaze. Anyway, they fumble around a little bit, giggle a lot, and just sunbathe. This scene, no joke, goes on for 5 minutes. Then, a zombie wakes up from a pile of rubble and puts himself into a wheelchair about 100 feet away from the famous Welcome to Las Vegas sign. So, he wheels himself over to take a closer look.
Ah! What the hell, man?
So, Neil Breen decides to teach this guy a lesson.
That's just not right.
Then he freezes time, sorta, because the cars in the background are still moving.
I don't feel so good. Cancer chemo is kicking my ass. I always wanted to see this before I died. I only have a month to live.
I mean, you apparently went to sleep like 100 feet away from this one thing that you wanted to see. Why didn't you just see it before you went to sleep? And if you're undergoing chemo, shouldn't you be in the hospital, not in a pile of rubble? Anyway, some sort of shady negotiation with the gang starts going down, and they all start playing around with their prop guns and mouthing words to each other. Then a fight suddenly breaks out, and the gang members turn into the kids from the Hunger Games for about a minute.
Go ahead! Do it!
And then the fighting suddenly stops.
Stop fucking around. Leave him alone. We have business to do.
This is Eric, our European distributor.
I didn't even edit that. That's how it is in the film. Anyway, it turns out that the politicians were working with the gang all along, as if we didn't already know that.
We're very well connected. Just keep the gifts, drugs, and girls coming our way.
Now see, at this point, I can't figure out if it's the script or the acting that's ridiculous. I honestly can't even see a single thing being done right here. Nobody seemed to question the quality of anything happening, and given that it was directed, written, produced by, and edited by Neil Breen, I can only assume that his magnificence is just unquestionable.
Anyway, Wheelchair Man rolls into the middle of the street where he almost gets run over by a car. But then somebody intervenes!
What's up? You got a problem, punk? You wanna bet?
Holy shit, that escalated fast. He just pulled up next to them, not to mention the fact that they almost just ran someone over. So anyway, Neil Breen waves his magic hand and they start to cry blood and freeze in place. Problem solved. So anyway, the twin sister gets laid off of her green energy related job, and it's for the same reason as what's-her-name, but the twin sister doesn't believe it.
They're lying to us. Just like they're lying about trying to find cures for cancer and other diseases.
They could find a cure if they wanted to. It's more profitable not to find any cures.
How? I think Neil Breen needs to learn more about Martin Shkreli and his story, since from him we know it's very profitable to have cures and treatments for terminal diseases. Ever wonder where he gets the money to buy 50-gallon drums of lube?
In case you're thinking that I'm jumping ahead of myself, I am. That whole thing with the AIDS drug went down well after this film came out. However, he made a similar comment in his 2016 movie Pass-Through, which came out after the whole ordeal went down. Maybe he should have been a little more informed if he wanted his whole argument to stand.
So then the twin sister starts talking to her boyfriend, I guess, and she decides to resort to prostitution too, even though I thought she already did that. She decides not to tell him her idea, and he decides to not tell her his idea to become a car thief. What a beautiful relationship. Anyway, they walk past Neil Breen sitting on a bench nearby, and then out of nowhere we see...
I'm speechless. This scene just shows up out of nowhere. One second she's walking with her boyfriend, the next she's in bed with Neil Breen. I don't get it.
So anyway, Wheelchair Man notices what's-her-name's baby has dropped a toy. So for his kindness, Neil Breen decides to cure his cancer and make him young again. I'm not entirely sure why he didn't do this before, but whatever.
Go with her. Have a full, long, and healthy, happy life. Be a family.
Yeah, okay. It's not like they just met or anything. They walk away and are never seen again for the remainder of the film. So now the boyfriend starts his new career as a car thief. Oh, by car thief, he meant that he steals stuff from cars. Like bags. So anyway, he approaches the gang that he somehow knew about and asks to join them, but they're upset since he was stealing stuff on their turf, so they take care of him.
Ah! Ah! We eliminated our problem.
What? They're all wearing the same clothes. It's still sunny outside. It can only have been a couple of hours. Did he seriously become that big of a problem in that short of a time span? How did you figure out that he was your problem? How should he have known that it was your turf? And if he's willing to steal from your turf for your gang, doesn't that make him a good asset to have? You know what? I'm probably overthinking this. Anyway, the gang then shows the twin sister her dead boyfriend, and she reacts as you'd expect her to.
What? This damn piece of garbage?
Oh God! He was so young! What's his family gonna...
Those who don't play by our rules lose.
Then it turns out that there's an undercover cop amongst the gang. I'm not sure why he hasn't said anything yet, since there's all these high-profile politicians/criminals here, and turning them in would be a pretty huge arrest. He probably just hasn't been in the gang for very long, and if that's the case, then this gang is one of the most efficient gangs ever. I mean, in like 2 hours, they found who was stealing all their business, and found an undercover cop. I mean, it even took Tony Soprano an entire season to figure out that Big Pussy was working with the feds. Oh shit, spoilers. So they give him the most spectacular punishment you could possibly imagine.
We trusted you like a brother. Kill him.
This wasn't part of our deal.
No payoff is worth this.
I don't want any part of this.
I like what I see.
So Neil Breen freezes time, sets the undercover cop free, leads the twin sister out of there, and crucifies the gang members and politicians. I don't really think he thought the significance of this through, but whatever.
I have eliminated those who believe in violence towards mankind.
Bruh, in terms of violence towards mankind, there was only one person killed by someone other than you. You're responsible for all of the other deaths in this movie, as well as for blinding 3 other people. If you're worried about violence, it really seems like robot alien zombie god is the biggest problem here.
I will eliminate them all, if the humans cannot, or will not on their own.
What was that you said about violence like 8 seconds ago? You know what, never mind.
I will come back soon and decide whether to end it all or not. I hope humanity has learned its lesson from all its mistakes.
I mean, apparently not. You only helped like 4 people and killed a dozen. You don't think you could have stayed a little longer and helped out some more? He's also acting like it's all of humanity's fault, but it seems like all of the people who are good and just are pretty damn helpless, and that the evil people are fully self-aware and they just don't give a shit. So I'm not really sure what the message is supposed to convey, but I guess you could say that it's a message? I don't know. That's the whole movie. He just leaves the planet and the film sort of ends. And all in all, I'd say it's a pretty spectacular experience. Sure, there may have been some duller moments where nothing is really happening, but in short, it's a really fun movie to watch. And especially if you have a large group of friends handy, you can make jokes the entire way through. If you needed to pick one film in particular, I'd probably say Fateful Findings is my favorite of the 4. It just has the most consistent plot that's followable and still is a lot of fun to watch. There's the most jokes and the most laughs from that one, I find. But they're all fun in their own unique way, especially if you're a fan of So Bad It's Good movies. And if this looks like something you can enjoy, then go ahead and watch this one as well as all of his other movies. They are all magnificent. And I want you to join me in looking forward to what Neil Breen is going to bring us next, because sure enough, his future content is going to be absolutely amazing. Wherever you are, Neil, I can't wait to see what you bring us next.